Yeah, there's definitely a delay. Okay, so for today, we're just gonna use the FaceTime camera. Not as good, quality not as great, but it's more important that we're here together and we work with what we've got, okay? So thank you, Pisces, for being patient and understanding. It's still a decent camera. It just is not going to show the cards as well. Everything's gonna be a little bit washed out. So I don't wanna lose the stream though, and I would have to like reset everything, and it's all pointing towards this, so. Thank you, everyone. I'll just look directly here instead, and we're gonna have a great show nonetheless. Let me see if I can still put up my, yeah, I can't, everything's off a little bit today. That's so bizarre. All right, so we're just gonna do this old school. I'll still be able to do the overhead camera, but I can't do any of my graphics today because it's all gonna be off. So I should have tested it before I started. All right, let's bring Apollo up for some soothing therapy, and then we're gonna get into the show and we're not gonna worry about it. This is part of the fun of being live. All right, let's get some Puppy 101 in here. This is my little furry assistant, Apollo, sending a lot of love and light to all of us, me especially, as I'm getting started today with a little bit of bedhead. And there we go, yes. All right, so hopefully the quality is great for you. This is still 1080p, it's just not as sharp when I pull up the cards. Okay, so let's just talk about the format. I have it memorized because I've done this for a while. I always like to begin with basically focusing on channeled messages, and these messages come from Spirit, and I get them through dreams and meditations. And also when I do some research on the sign, then I also get some additional energy and information as I'm doing that. So we'll begin with the channeled messages first, and then we'll get into the Celtic Cross right after that. All right, so I also put a poll up for those of you that are watching live. You can actually vote on that and let me know which deck of cards you'd like me to use today. Let me do something here while I'm getting set up, and I'm going to see if I can make sure that we can still do a picture-in-picture. I'm gonna need to flip this around as well. I'm gonna just see if I can share my screen. I may not be able to present my slides today, so we'll see. So give me a second here. Normally when I do this, I have a presentation as well, so everything is off. This is so bizarre. All right, let me see if I can just do a special presentation here. Screen share. Let's see, I'm gonna have to kind of create something new in the flow here. So actually, I know what to do. Okay, there we go. I'm figuring it out as we're doing this, folks. Okay, so bear with me because I'm having to change everything in real time. Okay, here we go. So let me bring this back into live mode, and if I do my picture-in-picture, it should show up now. Okay, great. Now let me just go ahead here, and we'll be fine. So there we go. Okay, so here's what's going on for today. Your message that I got in dreams was basically with moss. And what I see with this is it's a beautiful grounding totem, and it's also something that's going to help us persist and simplify things a bit. There was also a series of dream messages that were about fight or flight, to stay or to go, going against the grain, and then also kind of creating a new curriculum in your life. So let's go to the first of these. Okay, so the main energy here is basically about simplification when we tune into moss. So it's evolved from this ancient organism, and it has this ability to persist through basically all of the different extinction events that happen on this planet. And believe it or not, it actually came from algae. So long before there were plants or before there were trees, moss was the first form of life on the planet. And again, it's had this ability to last because it's simple. It doesn't have traditional stems, it doesn't have traditional roots, and basically it's this simplicity and succinct energy around it that has allowed it to be something that stands the test of time. So I like that. We learn little things first and then we put them together. I think that when we think about like communication, for instance, we learn the alphabet before we learn how to, sort of like do something larger here. And actually, I think that piece was lost here too. So let me edit it real quick so you can see the smaller piece. But basically, it would be sort of bizarre trying to have a child read Shakespeare. We would teach them the alphabet first, and then they learn how to put those smaller pieces into something bigger, that's something easier to digest. And that's what I'm just helping you see here. Today, Pisces, you are crazy. I got some interesting energy as we're putting it together. Every single component, there's kind of like a retrograde energy persisting. But the last piece is basically saying focus on the small stuff. Because if you can simplify it, if you can start with the little pieces, the bigger pieces become a lot easier to understand, to organize, and to basically pull together. So one of the other things here is that this simplicity has lasted through time. And when we think of things in pop culture, for instance, whether it's a song that doesn't have a lot of lyrics but has this kind of great hook, or whether it is just a simple slogan or whatever, these things that get into our head have a way of persisting. So see if you can break it down to the smallest pieces. It's going to be easier for you to communicate it to others. It's going to be easier for them to also navigate and understand what you're trying to do. And at the end of the day, that's going to be better for everyone. Okay? One piece at a time, just like we're fixing things today. Okay, ground yourself. So moss grows on trees, on rocks, and actually on the earth itself. It basically is a surface dwelling sort of organism. And it doesn't have deep roots. So one of the things that it teaches us, even though it's grounded, is that we can even do a little bit more in grounding ourselves. So see if you can get out into nature. That's one of the things that I love to do if I'm feeling a lack of grounding in my life. See if you can spend time with people in your life that bring you down to earth, have a way of kind of keeping it real or just helping you see it from a different perspective. And do what I did this morning and take a deep breath. You can only kind of deal with what you have in front of you. And that's what you have to deal with sometimes. So the message today is just one step at a time, okay? Heart chakra healing. So fun fact that I discovered last time that I researched this is basically that in World War II, moss was used as a bandage. It has this great sort of antibacterial quality to it. So whenever we bring this up as a totem, it's a reminder that there is a capacity in your life right now to heal yourself. And so prioritize your happiness, prioritize your health. Make sure that, especially for those of you that nurse or take care of others or are just someone who's there always helping other people out, this is a chance for you to make sure that you're not losing yourself in the mix, basically. The next piece here was what I was picking up in dreams, and this is the fight or flight energy. So for some of you, I kind of saw this energy of... The guide showed me like a battle, but it's not really a battle. It's more of like a clique. I saw soldiers, and the soldiers were basically very engaged with what you had to say, but they were also wanting you to join, basically to enlist and fight for them or fight on their side. You were more of a mediator in between, and what basically this was two extremes, fight or flight. Stay and fight or run away. And there's a third path, which is education, which is sticking around and talking about something bigger and not worrying about who's right and who's wrong. And I pulled the King of Cups here because I think he's one of the best leaders that you can kind of pull through. He's compassionate, strong, and also signifies you. So I love that energy. So your power this month is going to be in leading with the heart. And when people try to force you to pick something or do something that doesn't feel right, you simply can say, this doesn't fit me, this doesn't suit me, I'm not interested in that, etc. Okay? Show people an alternative to fighting or to running. All right. Different is good. And this is part of what was probably difficult for some of the people that want you to do one thing or another. So embrace your differentness in a sea of sameness, because this is what is going to help you find another star-like energy in your life. And by the way, I like to use twin star instead of twin flame. Stars, these sort of soul energies, these deep soul connections, you kind of call it a soulmate if you want to, they are not always love interests in your life. I'm going to have to use my camera here. This little guy in the background, he is one of my soulmates. Unfortunately, he's getting cut off with this the current camera, but basically, it can be a pet, it can be a best friend, it can be a teacher in your life. It does not have to be someone that you're dating and romantically involved with. The thing that's going to pull this person to you, or this sort of opportunity to you as well, is that you are singular, that you are unique, that you're doing something that someone else doesn't do. You're shining brightly. So in this moment in time, it's really important, if not imperative, for you to shine brightly. okay? And finally, I've been getting a bunch of back to school dreams. It makes a lot of sense since a lot of you are returning to school or to teaching. And even if you aren't, there are probably people in your life that are. But the interesting piece that I was picking up from this was a lack of connection to whatever the curriculum in front of you was. I saw you with an open schedule, like barely even a class and barely engaged in that class. So there may be a desire for you to go down a different trajectory. Maybe you're the first one to do something that no one else in your family did, whether that's start your own business, take a different course than they thought you should. They wanted you to be a lawyer, you want to be an artist, or you want to be a writer, or you want to be something different. Your path is completely valid for you. But if you don't do something that you're connected to, it's going to be very hard to be engaged. And it's not that it's not that there's something wrong with you, it's that there's something calling you and you have to answer the call, basically. And so it's a different way to look at that. Make sure that whatever it is that you want to do is compelling and that it helps expand your consciousness. I would say this is the most important thing, arguably. So if that is working in your favor, then things are going to be okay? So for those of you feeling disconnected, it's either time to take a different class or to write or to sort of like create something that doesn't even exist out there yet. So some of you may be in the energy of, writing a curriculum or writing a book or putting something together that's going to be presented that changes how everyone is looking and seeing things, looking at things and seeing things, I should say. So let's just review all of these since we had some challenges at the beginning here. So moss is the spirit totem for today. It is a simple organism, but a persistent organism. It's one that's stuck around for almost the entire time the planet's been around, which is amazing. It reminds us to ground ourselves and to go a little deeper than we normally would because it doesn't really have a typical root system and things of that nature. Spend time with people that ground you too, not people that kind of take you out of your power or out of your zone. Your heart needs some healing. So for those of you that are on a rebound or have lost someone or have been through a difficult time, heal this first. And if there are people in your life that are trying to make you choose sides, there may not be a side to choose per se. There's a middle ground, and your goal this month is to be that sort of light in the dark. And that's kind of what we saw with this card too. The differentness, that different approach and unique opinion and leadership style is what's going to help save the day. And there may be something here that you can actually share or publish or distribute as well for those of you that happen to be more of the artist type. Okay? So there you go. Those are the main messages with respect, with respect to the sort of totems. And as I'm getting some of the technical glitches here set up, one thing that I would encourage you to do is to take a look at the poll. So let me put this in preview mode and just reprogram the cameras real quick. And I have a few decks that I gave you a choice to look through today. So let's see, I believe if I look at it, we have the Little Prince, Tarot de St. Croix, Field Tarot, and True Heart Intuitive, and the latter is in the lead right now. So let me just fix something while you're voting on those really quickly, and then we'll get started. So I'm just going to make sure that we've got the cameras working. Okay, that looks all right, but it needs to be flipped around. Yeah, I may have to go old school today and just kind of, we'll see what we do here. All right, so we've got the wide view. Let me see if I can flip it around. Yep, so I'm just gonna turn my camera down like I used to once upon a time. And that's gonna have to work for today. So thank you for just understanding because my setup's not working and I can't reboot because we're live and I don't wanna lose the feed. So thanks for your patience. All right, so we're going to use the True Heart Intuitive, and we're going to go old school today with me just using a single camera setup. All right, let's turn the camera in the downward position here, but it still works out. Everything is fine. I always have a backup. So let's take a look now at the next 6 to 8 weeks. This is the main Celtic Cross portion, and thank you so much for being patient today with the technical glitches. We're going to make it special nonetheless. At the end of the day, it's about the people present and the quality of the messages, not just the cameras, right? This is what we're going through a little bit today. One thing that I've learned in life, especially when it comes to stress, it's not worth it, folks. There are things you can control and there are things you cannot. So your reaction is a choice. So in this moment, I choose peace, I choose happiness. I'm so happy to be here with all of you today. And that, my folks, is what, my friends, is what matters. We're bringing it back to like 2019 style here. I am not old school, for the person saying that they like it old school. I'm very much tech savvy and I like to try new things, but I'm happy for redundancy. One of the things that I learned with technology is always have a backup, so I'm using my webcam for this, even though I have 2 other cameras, just because the inputs are not working. So it's okay. The universe wants us to just focus on one thing at a time. It's actually very in alignment with the totem for today, so we're going to go with it. Okay, let's begin with your main card for today, your catalyst, and we have the crone. And okay, I have to just even pull these in different directions because I'm not used to doing that. So the crone here basically is helping us focus on what matters here. When I think of, if we think in like mythology, there are typically 3 maidens that are part of like the fates. And it would be a crone, a maiden, and there's like one in between. Oh yeah, we would kind of have like the mother, the one that is pregnant. So you usually have youth and a mother, and then someone that is older. So the crone is coming through to show us that at any age, we have the ability to tap into the soul's experience, the soul's sort of wisdom. I'm going to turn off my top camera so I'm not looking into this, so I can look into this camera. And I'm going to turn off this one since we're not using it. Okay. So wisdom reigns supreme, and one of the things that kind of came to me as I started to awaken spiritually was the sort of like past life flashbacks. And I was very surprised to sort of see how many lifetimes that I had lived and how many different spiritual paths I had walked in all those different lifetimes. And what I appreciated over time is just the persistence of the soul and the fact that we've been through something much like this moment before, and you're going to be able to get through this one again. And so this one is basically showing you that your soul's been around more than once, and what you want to do in any situation is to just say, I've got this. Kind of like what I'm doing today, I've got this. So don't freak out, don't worry, don't over sort of analyze things more than they need to be, okay? And experience is something to be appreciated. I don't know when, how, or why we started to sort of get ageist in this particular society. If you look back to other cultures, like the Native Americans that lived here first in North America, and a lot of the First Nation and Native cultures, they revered age. It was seen as something to be celebrated. Gray hair, wrinkles, the fact that you'd walk this planet for, 3/4 of a century or something, or 100 years plus, that's something to be celebrated, right? So celebrate your experience, celebrate where you're at. Don't feel like you have to conform or fit into some sort of an ageist sort of thing. So whether someone says you're too young or you're too old, you're not. You're exactly where you need to be in this moment in time, and that's it, okay? So if we go to the center of the spread here, we have the 5 of Pentacles. The 5 of Pentacles has to do with your ability to, I definitely miss the overhead camera, I have to tell you guys. It'll be back, but yeah. The 5 of Pentacles has to do with your ability to have self-confidence and self-worth. And a lot of times in the past, this is something that someone has taken away because either their own lack of they're projecting onto you sort of their own lack of self-confidence or their trust in you. So what you want to be focusing on in this moment is your ability to say, you know what, that's your lens, that's your truth, that's not me. And if there's someone in your life that couldn't show up for you the way that you needed them to show up for you, then in this moment in time, it's your turn to simply say, that's not my fault. I am someone who is of great worth, great experience, and great value. And I'm going to embrace and I'm going to own that. And I'm going to sort of like put together the pieces of me and reclaim that piece of me as well. Okay? Unconditional love is what's crossing this. We have the Ace of Cups. It begins within. This is a good month for you, Pisces, when it comes to potentially having new love come into your life. So I think that in order for that to happen, we really need to focus on the believing that you are worth it. I am more than enough for myself. I'm more than enough for others. And then you can focus on basically accepting new love coming in. Because otherwise what happens is there's still this sort of internal dialogue that's happening where you think, and I'm going to try to fix this while we're talking, you think to yourself, if I can only change this about myself, then perhaps it will be enough. If I can only do this, if I can only do that. I'm here to tell you that you could spend your whole life trying to fix things, and there would still be something that somebody wants you to change or shift or move around. So you're more than enough, but the big challenge in this moment in time is being allowed or being somehow kind of believing yourself enough to sort of say, yes, this is going to be okay. So the inner saboteur is getting in the way just a little bit, and we don't want that to happen, okay? And the card that's in the deep past here is the Magician. We love the Magician. You've actually already done the internal soul work necessary to basically ensure that you can succeed. The challenge for you right now is going to be in making sure that you believe that you've done the work. And it's always more apparent for other people in your life that you've accomplished what you've set out to do, right? So I would say for you, if you can just trust in your own capacity, because by the way, this isn't the easiest card for many of us to accomplish in our life, right? So when we have this, I'm just going to stick with what we got. When we have the Magician in our life, it's basically saying you've gotten all the basics down together, and you've understood what it takes to be who you are, to apply all of these skills together, and basically if you can focus, if you can concentrate, you're unstoppable. But if someone steps in, gets into your headspace a little bit, makes you second guess yourself, makes you doubt yourself, that's when you get distracted. I've said this before, the Magician is super powerful as long as it stays focused and it believes in its magic. So magic is partially like self-confidence too. I wrote in the book that I published that it's a new truth waiting to be discovered. I think a lot of times we look at things in the universe, we don't understand it, and we call it magical, we call it esoteric, we may think it's a little scary or something of that nature, but it's not. It's just something waiting to be understood. So in this moment in time, you're just being asked to believe in yourself. And really the cards that we see here are all about that. So this is self-confidence, this is believing in the magic that exists, and this is the sort of like very pleasant thing that happens when these things come into focus. So we have the King of Pentacles coming through as recent past. So this is showing me that you've already actually done this work as well, and we're seeing the ability for you to start to reap the rewards of the hard work that you've done. So in this moment in time, some of you may have been presented with a new job, a new proposal. You may be deciding, you know what, I want something for myself, and you're going to seek a way to bring this into fruition. So if that's the case, I'm all for it. You've worked hard for this. So I do see an improvement in resources coming through. If it hasn't already manifested, it soon will. This is also about being grounded. I chose the Queen of Pentacles, but the King of Pentacles is also nicely connected to grounding yourself. I like that the King of Pentacles isn't afraid of treating himself to something. And so sometimes we work so hard and prepare and sort of like help people so much in our lives that we don't do that for ourselves. So the King of Pentacles is all about that, and saying in this moment in time, let's treat ourselves well, and let's basically embrace that energy. The Three of Wands coming through in the crowning position to help you see that what you're trying to manifest is already en route. I featured this as one of the daily reads this week, and one of the messages that I said I was using the Salvador Dali deck. We could see him much closer to the shore, and I really like it when you're active and you meet someone halfway, because the traditional card, the person's so far up on the hill that if they wait and other people are a little bit more active and a little bit more present in the energy, those other people are going to get there first, and the sort of manifestation and the next step of the journey is already starting. We see this Three of Wands actually floating over top of the sea, so I like that. It's almost hard to see, but they're almost calling in the ships instead of waiting on the shore. They're projecting themselves. So the closer you can put yourself to where you want to be, the more you can envision that it's happening, the faster it's going to happen. The more you meet someone halfway, again, the faster it's going to happen. Okay? So, by the way, you've got two really great cards for manifesting money. We've got King of Pentacles and Three of Wands. So I'm feeling very good about your ability to bring good things into your life right now. There is a potential for burnout. So let's talk about the Ten of Swords. All right, the Ten of Swords. So basically, it isn't always, chronic pain, although it can show pain or fatigue. It isn't always about arguments, although it can be that. Sometimes we just burn ourselves out. Sometimes we are tired. Sometimes we have to experience, just like the Tower moment, we have to go through a Ten of Swords in order to say, I have had enough of this, and I'm going to go down this path instead. And the Ten of Swords can be a blessing in that respect, because once it's happened, there's almost like no looking back. It's a very definitive full stop. And we always see something rising. Here we see maybe the moon rising. Typically it would be a new dawn. So you would normally see a new day rising, but I like the moon too. It works the same way. And it's basically saying this too shall pass. And it's saying that you had to go through this to get to the next part of the journey. This deck uses Medusa in a few of the illustrations. If we look really closely, we can actually see that this is Medusa. Medusa is a misunderstood figure in mythology. She's actually a very strong divine feminine energy. And it's kind of amazing. If she were cast in today's sort of superhero movies, she's as powerful as like Storm, basically, right? Because she has the ability to turn anything to stone, which is amazingly powerful. So that was gifted to her because there was unwanted advances by, I believe it was Poseidon, and I think she was in the Temple of Athena. So that was actually a protection so that she didn't have to continue to have unwanted advances. And so then she had the power to keep everyone away. But it was also, the blessing was a curse, right? Because it's mythology, and things have to be sort of like, complicated, and there has to be sometimes unhappy endings because it teaches us lessons. But I actually see her having a superpower. Sometimes we're punished because of our superpowers, and that's what I'm getting with this Ten of Swords. You have something unique. People may not understand it. People may not be able to embrace it. That doesn't make you sort of... people may make that out into being something that's ugly when it's not. So when we look at Medusa, that's a misperception there, and a misconception. So she had a power to protect her, but the power also isolated her. So if you can embrace it, and if you can, your embracing will allow other people to embrace it. And if you see it as a gift and not as a curse, and it becomes something beautiful. That's kind of like one of the things that how I decided to step into a spiritual path. There was a choice. Are we going to embrace this, or are we going to run away from it? And there was a lot of running away from it because there were different family members in my family, living and dead, well, most of them are dead now, that had the gift but just didn't embrace it because it's a little scary, right? When you don't understand it. For me, now it's just normal. So embrace something that may otherwise feel a little bit scary, that people may not understand, and your normalization of it will help others deal with it and cope with it and not be afraid. Okay? Very unique Ten of Swords here. Very interesting choice for Medusa. Very strong character in mythology, misunderstood. So whenever I see her, I like to give her a little bit of love because she's actually not a monster. She just has a power that is difficult to live with. So I actually have compassion for Medusa. a lot, and respect too, because like I said, she would be one of those, I forget what they call them, but Storm is one of them. It's like the highest X-Men. They have superpowers. Phoenix is another one because they're just kind of like on a different level. So she would be on that level because like basically anyone could be defeated by Medusa if she was an X-Men. So back to the cards. If we look at how you're showing up this month, there needs to be a shift in perspective. So sorry about the up and down. If you joined late, my connections are not working, so I'm just using the webcam for today. All right, so for the 5 of Cups, always a hidden 2 of Cups. We see the 2 cups right behind her in the back. We see the 3 cups spilled in front. 3 cups, by the way, can be gossip too, the 3 of Cups. We see all the optics all around her, okay? And so with all of these optics, sometimes what happens is this feeling of, like, how can I ever match up to expectations? Or you can also be worrying too much, way too much about what people think. You're never going to make everyone happy. Things are never going to be picture perfect. Today's an example of it, and you just have to go with it. And so what you do is you say, all right, in this moment, I'm the best that I can be. So if your partner says you're not good enough, then that's conditional love, and guess what? They're actually not good enough for you. People are revealing their truth when they actually project that out and say that. If you could only be more like your brother or sister, if you could only change this, then I would love you. If you could only lose this much weight, I would love you. All of these things are ridiculous. People should love you irrespective of these sort of conditions. And if the conditions are there, it's a gift from the universe to help you see exactly where they stand and where you stand. Okay? I think it's really important. The cool thing here, by the way, is that someone's in your back corner. Someone's got your back. We got the 2 of Cups right behind you, and they say, I see you, I've got you, it's going to be all right. Don't worry about it. All right? So if you're willing to shift your perspective, if you're willing to look at it from a different angle, some good stuff's going to happen for you. Okay? All right. We're moving now on to the environment card. We have Princess of Wands here, holding her ground, also holding what looks like it might be like one of the Egyptian lotuses. Let me look a little closer. Yeah, I can't tell from the illustration, but I think it might be a lotus. I'm a big fan of the lotus as well as a totem because it goes through great depths in order for it to reach the surface, basically. It has to go, and it also, it's cool because it has 3, actually, I would argue it's connected to all 4 elements. It's in the mud of the pond, the water as well, so earth, water, the flower comes up in the air and it soaks in the rays from the sun, fire. So it is connected to all 4 elements. It's very cool for like magician energy. And as we're looking at this, it's saying, you've got this. You just may be at a different point of the journey. Some of you are in the mud of the pond, pushing through the water. Some of you are just allowing that lotus blossom to come to the top. And some of you are already soaking in and enjoying. So wherever you're at, it's exactly where you need to be. Again, this is where even it's a missing piece of this, but it's like floating over the top of it. I would argue that there's a 4 of Wands that's sort of like a hidden card here, which is a different perspective. You're somewhere that you can't see what you've got, or you can't see where you're at, but you're just fine. Princess of Wands, a page basically, is saying, be open to new ideas, be open to unique approaches to getting something done. Just be open in general, because as you open up to new things, you'll be surprised at how great something is that comes into your life. When we expect something to be in a certain way, shape, or form, sometimes we can limit our scope or our view. So the 2 pieces of this is that your growth right here, the lotus. Your growth is going to be a little bit different than someone else, but it's exactly where it needs to be. The wand is an idea that is kind of like begging for your attention, and there is this sort of in-between. I was talking about pages in particular have to sort of like have one ear towards the source, another ear towards the audience, and then they're using their own energy to decide, how do I want to interpret this? Wands shows it more than sort of like saying it or articulating it. So show what you've got, embody what you believe. People then are going to want to engage with you in a conversation. So you have to see it and sort of like be it, and then you can sell it or you can discuss it with somebody else. So there's a little bit of integration in the mind that wants to happen right now, and I think the moment that happens, great things will start to commence, and that's actually what we see here. Now we have a Knight of Swords, which recently came through in the the one card reading. So things happen fast with the Knight of Swords, and it's about taking this moment in time. So as we look at the next month for you, this is in hopes, fears, and opportunities. Being outspoken will be advantageous for you. So speak your mind, by all means. Getting to the point, we talked about that. Simple is better. And I'm not talking about sort of like dumbing something down. Simplicity is not bad. It is not, it doesn't necessarily mean that something isn't valuable. If we look at an equation, equations are a simplified way of looking at something complex, E equals mc squared, for instance. But it represents something much deeper than those letters and numbers. So if you can simplify something so people can wrap their heads around it, it's a portal for them to go deeper into a discussion, into an engagement, into whatever it is that you're trying to do. So take it back to basics, then go the next step, then go the next step. That's the advice there. But simple first and direct first. And people will respect the directness that you're able to give that maybe other people are not able to give, okay? So as we look at your outcome card, we have the Seven of Wands. Also I love this, actually, anytime it comes up in a reading, because the first thing that I'm getting with this is that you're very capable. Seven of Wands does not come up for a lazy person, ever, typically. Usually it's someone working too hard, maybe not as smart as they should, but definitely working hard. So right off the bat, I can say, Pisces, this month, you're working and you're earning and you're doing everything that you need to do. You've gotten to this position because of the hard work. If you feel a lack of engagement, it has more to do with the fact that you have lost alignment with the soul path that you're supposed to be doing. So for those of you where I saw that you were, it read to me like school, and you were like, the schedule was open. You couldn't decide what to do, or you weren't showing up. It's because it's time to take a different path. So for some of you, there's a new calling, and your lack of interest is because something else is more engaging. So connect with that. For some of you, it's because you're exhausted. And this is an encouragement to delegate and to let go a little bit, especially with the card in reverse. Sometimes we feel, and you can even see her sort of like frustration there. She's like, if I'm going to do this, I'm the one that has to do this. Like, I'm the only one that can do this the right way, basically. That's not necessarily true. So opening yourself up to be assisted, to allow for things to just be a little bit easier in your life, that's going to be so important for you. It's going to be healthy for you. So I would say working smarter, not necessarily just working hard, is going to be important. You subtract 1 from the 7 of Wands, and it basically brings you to the 6 of Wands, which is success. So if you are able to let go a little bit, do a little bit less, but do it better, that's been a consistent message over the past 2 to 3 weeks. And it's definitely coming through for your sign as well. So embrace that, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. All right, we're going to look at the expanded forecast now. That it comprises health, wealth, love, and destiny. We're going to begin with the health card. Standard disclaimer applies when I look at health. I'm here to help you exercise free will and look at energetic openings. But if there's anything going on with your mental or physical health, you always want to work with the appropriate professional. I'm here to help you with spirit and with energy. So with that in mind, we have the Canary Spirit. What a power. I've worked with this deck a lot, but I don't know if I've pulled this. If I have, it's only been once. First of all, how beautifully is that aligned with being different in the sea of sameness? It says, sing your own song. And as I was getting stuff set up this morning, the Mamas and the Papas song, make your own kind of music. It's been in my head for a couple of weeks, but it came through again today, and the Canary Spirit is really beautifully aligned to that. Canary in a coal mine also comes through here. Many of you are highly sensitive people. You wouldn't be tuning into my readings if you weren't. And so as a highly sensitive person, that means that sometimes, if not often, you pick up on things well in advance of other people being able to discern what's going on. So if you're feeling or seeing or sensing something and it's a little bit more intense, it's not just you. It's because you have a chance now to be proactive rather than reactive. So this is your chance to do something. Interestingly enough, like I just moved. If you Pisces, you're probably the last sign to kind of see my new place. So welcome. I wish the new camera was working for today, but you can still see it beautifully on this. But as I've started to be in the new place, sleep in the new house, I've picked up on what's happened before. Like there was once a flood in this room I saw, and that's probably the reason that it has like new lamps and things. And I talked to the landlord, and I was able to see where there was some warping and everything, but I actually saw what it looked like during that. I saw that there was also something in the other room. And then I picked up on like someone had broken something in one of the rooms, and there was maybe like an argument about that. So I can pick up on the energy that happened in different spaces and in different places. So I can see shadows of what was, I can see shadows of what may be, but I have to be in the space for a little bit to pick up on it. I'm still working with that level of mediumship, but it's interesting, and I was able to confirm that some of the stuff that I saw happened, and then I have a couple medium friends that also picked up on stuff. So highly sensitive people, you can sense energy in places and people. You can also, hanging out with someone, pick up on some things that they might be going through, even if they're not open with kind of like talking about that just yet. So it's very interesting to kind of just lean into that and understand that your sensitivity is not something to be underestimated, because it can help you prepare for the future as well. Okay, so listen to that. This will help you in sorting out, like, should I talk to this person? Can I trust this person? Do they have other motives that are at play here? That is when your sensitivity comes through in a positive way. Looking at the cards in front of us with respect to this, looking at your health. Like I said earlier, the biggest concern that I have for you would be burnout. I think that there's definitely an opportunity for you to delegate better than you have been delegating. So let go of some of the stuff that you've been working on. Focus on less. When you subtract in wands, that's going to bring you to the 6 of wands, which is actually quite beneficial. If you are going through any chronic pain or fatigue, a lot of times it hits in the back. So it would be a great time for you to get a massage or acupuncture. And if it's persistent, obviously work with your healthcare professional on that. Those are the main things, because everything else actually looks pretty good. The 5 of Pentacles also has to do with your knees, your ankles, your legs in general, but circulation and those joints sometimes are out of balance or out of adjustment. So that could be a place where you want to focus on things as well, just moving your body a little bit to help kind of lubricate the joints a bit, because both of these can be joint or back pain, and this can be, again, like your knees. Interestingly enough, hips, knees, and ankles affect the back. These are very much related, so a good chiropractic adjustment and a talk with your healthcare professional if there's pains here. This is symptomatic of this, so make sure you're looking at the whole body. Again, I'm just reading tarot, but there is a connection between this, because it's basically like the trunk of a tree. So if it's out of balance, you want to get that set straight. Other than that, I think we're looking pretty good when it comes to your health messages. So I'm feeling good about that. Okay. One last thing, and this has to do with more like having a healthy attitude. The 10 of Swords can be a card where you just are afraid of failure. So you think to yourself, oh my God, what if this happens? And then they'll think this, and et cetera, et cetera. What if you don't try? I think or like simply holding back and not giving it an attempt is much worse. We'll pull it back down there a little bit. We can see Apollo sleeping. He's certainly not bothered in the background. So yeah, if you can just sort of enter into things with this sense of, by trying, I've already succeeded, because I know that I'm not going to leave this planet wondering what if. So trying is succeeding. And then if things didn't go the way you want, like if you learn from a setback, you're still succeeding. So it's going to be okay. So a healthy approach. And then, of course, paying attention to what Spirit's bringing through for you. All right, in the environment, we have the hummingbird, which I love. The hummingbird's upside down, which for some of you could show misdirection, looking in the wrong direction for things that matter. I also think of my competitive hummingbirds at the feeder there, where they're kind of like dive bombing all the time. So you may be trying so focused on the competition that you're just forgetting what's important, and that there's more than one source. There's room for more than one. That's the one thing that I would say. I love hummingbirds, but they are very, very territorial. So when we're looking at this in a work environment, because it's reversed, I'm going to focus a little bit on the area of opportunity. It would be, healthy competition is good. Friendly competition is good. But when it gets to the point that it's overwhelming or it takes center stage, no. That's when you realize, like, if you want it that bad, have it, or I'm going to go to a place where it's not just about that. So healthy competition, but not competition just for competition's sake, because the fun of the sort of experience is taken out of that. Let's look at the cards here and give you some messages around abundance. First of all, some of you have been possibly undervalued or have underestimated your worth. Don't. What we see here is the exact delta or difference between that, and it's a lot. We're basically 5 of Pentacles all the way up to the 10 of Pentacles, and from the page all the way to the King. There's a lot of cards in between that. So you're worth a lot more than you may be giving yourself credit for, or others may have given you credit for. So the important thing for you now is to bridge the gap. If you love what you're doing, if people around you love you, then they're going to want to make this good. Sometimes people will let you do as much as you're willing to do and figure you must be happy. So what you're going to do right now is set this into balance. The next step up on the 5 of Pentacles is 6 of Pentacles, and 6 of Pentacles has to do with discernment. I choose this, I don't choose that. I can do this, but that has to be sacrificed, or that has to be delayed. And so it's about mature, strong, intelligent decisions about resource management. So you can't do everything for everyone, because these two cards feed into each other. This is the overachieving, and this is basically the exhaustion. And yes, overachieving does happen with 5 of Pentacles, because if we didn't get the love that we wanted, we try to achieve it by doing great things or by getting attention. So you can go one extreme or the other. You can just do outlandish things to get attention, or you can do really, really difficult and amazing things. Both are it's the same root source, which is I want attention. So you don't need the attention because you are valuable. And when you own your value, people will naturally reward that. You just have to step in and believe it. Because if you're negotiating for something, if you don't believe in the value proposition, no one else is going to believe it. So that's the most important piece of advice that I could give you, is to believe in your value in this moment in time. Let me see if there's anything else. You are not alone. There's someone in this current moment in time that can actually assist you a bit. Because again, if you look in the background here, she has those 2 cups right behind her, which is saying, yeah, I got some support. I have someone back there. But do I believe it? Am I looking around? Am I engaging with it? Maybe not. And so open yourself up to see who's in the back corner, who's got your back, and that's going to be helpful. Avoid any spilled words. So this is not the time to kind of like give an ultimatum or to just say, let me tell you what's on my mind. You want to try to keep keep the door open, or don't burn the bridge, in other words, because, and I've experienced this in my own working career, a lot of times I would see the same person at different offices. I think, for 15 years I worked in traditional offices. I've been doing this since 2015, so almost 8 years now. And I did it a couple years before, part-time, but like full-time 8 years. So in my 15 years of regular, quote unquote, regular jobs, I think maybe 2 or 3 of the people that I worked with, I saw them at other companies, because if you work in similar fields, one person I worked at 3 different companies together with them. So it's not unusual. And if you're going to run into someone again, you don't want that bad blood. So in this case, some things are better left unsaid. They know what they did. You know what you did. You know what you want to say. They know what you're going to say. Just don't put it out there sometimes. If there's nothing to be gained, if it's only going to make you flare up a little bit. Because here's an interesting thing. Have you ever noticed, we don't have the 5 or 7 of swords here, but but this is what's coming through. Sometimes people will use that against you. You might be bringing up valid points and you've hit your point of frustration. They're going to sit back and watch you react and then say, you're so emotional. And it's like, yeah, but you actually pushed me to the boiling point. So the way that you're going to avoid that is to just take a deep breath and go to a different channel. They're not receiving or deserving of that feedback. Cool it down several levels. Get to the 6 of Swords where you have detachment with whatever the message is, and then deliver it and then move on. It's not necessarily about getting the last word in. Sometimes you're just going to move on, but you really need to get from the 10 of Swords and de-escalate it basically to the 6 of Swords. Go down several levels, because the 6 of Swords is detachment. And only from that point of detachment do you know if it's still worth sharing. So detach yourself a bit before you deliver the message you want. You have to get out of the heat. So if you feel, and you know what I'm talking about, right? Sometimes, your palms sweat, or you're getting sweaty all over, or you feel heat flushing through you, or your heart's palpitating, or your voice is shaking. That's not the moment to share what you want to share. Breathe, ground yourself, and wait for a different time. There are points sometimes where we have to fight for ourselves, but typically you want to get the body into a calmer space so the voice can be the powerful thing, and it can sound very solid, because that is what's going to take them by surprise. All right. I don't know how we got onto that, but that's important for some of you. Might be in a really difficult work situation, or a difficult power situation, because when I look at wealth, it can hit in that sector. So some of you might just be trying to find a way to stand your ground, and that's your answer. And then the other thing here is pushback. The 7 of Wands is just saying, no, not now, not today, no. So you can also just push back. All right, I think that's everything for wealth. If you're trying to find a new job, I encourage it, and I actually think that it's a lot closer than you think. There's new opportunities on the horizon. This was to get you out of something that wasn't good for you. Medusa is also about standing still, stone energy around her. So if you're looking in the face of Medusa, nothing's happening. So you may just be in a place where they're not going to allow you to grow. They want you to stay still. All right, I think that's it. Keep it high energetically, last piece. If we just look at the hummingbird as an upright symbol, one of my favorites, it's about moving, keeping the energy moving, keeping your thoughts moving, and always moving the energy up. So rather than negative thoughts, we're always going to be proactive, we're always going to be kind, we're always going to be empathetic as much as we possibly can in that moment in time. Okay? Welcome to the new members, by the way. It's good to see you. And I will, at the very end, say thanks and offer a little bit of gratitude. Okay, so normally I would put up all of this stuff, but today we're just going to chat, and you can go to my main YouTube page for information if you want to find it. All right, so by the way, for the new members, go to the Q&A post on the member tab. You have time between now and Thursday to submit a question for consideration in my Q&A. Okay. Let's go from wealth to love and relationships. So we have let's try and say this 5 times fast. Breadcrumbs of bliss. Not an easy sentence. Breadcrumbs of bliss. How about let's just call it bliss. The breadcrumbs help us find our way. Think of the story of the 2 kids in the forest. Was it Hansel and Gretel or something? I can't remember. But basically, breadcrumbs are not always the most effective way to, something can eat them. I remember that from the fairy tale. So you are being shown a better way. You're being shown a better path. And for some of you, the partner could be doling out things like breadcrumbs. And so we want the full meal, not just these little crumbs. So for some of you, there's this imbalance. And it's just you're getting crumbs and scraps and not what you're truly wanting. So there's this sort of discussion about what's enough. Some of you are being led towards something healthier. And the smaller caption on this says, heed your pleasure principles. Someone's a Janet Jackson fan on this. So give yourself permission to be happy and know that you deserve the whole cake, not just a little crumb, is what I would say with this. So maybe you've been satisfied in the past with the crumbs, but now is a chance to have the full meal. And that's what I'm going to pick up from this. This is a cool deck, but they are so wordy and so abstract in their words that I have to kind of like pull out some things from it. So enough breadcrumbs, enough crumbs. Let's give you more than scraps. All right, now I'm going to look at this on 3 levels, and we're going to talk about it in respect to those in a relationship, looking for a relationship, single and happy. So if you're already in a relationship, first and foremost, I do see a lot of love here. The energy that we talked about, where there could be some issues playing out from the past. This could be mother or father energy. Definitely we have paternal energy coming through. So for some of you, there could have been some father issues that are coming up where there wasn't maybe as much love or support, etc. That could be playing a role. The other thing that could, like, if we take that out of the equation, what I see is one partner could be sick, or could be stressed. And these are very connected cards. So there is a root cause that I feel like actually can improve this significantly, but that person needs to work on themselves and needs to be willing to see it. It almost feels like they have to go through the whole experience before they're willing to turn a new corner, okay? If we take a different look at this, what I like is that there's a lot of strong chemistry. You've built a strong connection together. There's a lot of deep love, but there's insecurities that come up that cause arguments sometimes. I definitely see improvement, a possibility for improvement, I should say, when it comes to being able to have more intelligent and more sort of like less heated conversations. So taking the emotion out and just sort of like trying to find the commonalities is going to be really important. Communication seems sharp, and I definitely get a defensive vibe with communication. So it feels like someone's either carrying a grudge or they're dealing with pain in their life. It could be physical, it could be family, it could be soul pain. And then that causes friction in communication, which then causes some stubbornness, which then causes this sort of like, do you love me? So what I see here is issues that are not directly related to the two of you. That's actually the good news. It has to do with periphery or past or karmic energy. Very much rear view mirror stuff. The truth of the matter in this lifetime, when we look in the past, we actually see the 2 cups. So we see love and support there. So it's dealing with past stuff. That's going to be the biggest challenge for all of my Pisces out there that are currently in a relationship. And some of you just need a break, a vacation, some time off, some time away from your partner, perhaps even. And, do what you need to do. But I think the same thing that I kind of talked about earlier with making sure that you don't burn a bridge is important there too. Wait until you can articulate. Wait until you're in the 6 of Swords energy. I don't think I've ever talked about that before, but that's coming through pretty strong today, just to de-escalate. Get from the 10 to the 6 and everything will be okay. And if you're asking what do I mean by that, again, it's detachment, so that you're not feeling it in your body, so that you can objectively look at it and say, yeah, I had this much to do with it, they had that much to do with it, some of this is systemic, what do I want to do about it? Okay, it's a very, very mature way of looking at it rather than I feel this way and I'm just going to say it. Sometimes we do it and it feels good in the moment, but it's usually messy afterwards, right? So be more premeditated and organized in the thoughts so that it can be effective and you can really make the impact that you need to make. Okay. So that was for those currently in a relationship. I do think, last message here, if we look at these 3 cards in particular, if you can keep your head in the right direction and you can avoid being overly defensive, I think you can be okay here. But there's definitely a danger for arguments or miscommunications this month. So that's the thing to just keep an open mind and an open heart with. If you're looking for love this month, please take care of yourself first. I think some of you are working so hard that you could get just run down, burnt out, a cold, a flu, whatever. We don't want that to happen right now. Do something that makes your heart happy. Yes, love can come in. Absolutely. It may have already come in. Some of you may have met an earth sign. Some of you might be pulling in a fire or an air sign. You've got a lot of opportunities this month. For those of you that just met someone or wondering where this will go, I like it, but I would say if we just look at this as sort of like story of it, it feels like there's maybe too much different in the way that you're communicating or in your priorities. So that may be a little bit more challenging. I like, for those of you that have met a fire sign, communication's easier. It feels like you guys can just say what's on your mind. Okay? Most important thing this month is the chemistry. You can't fake it. So when you meet someone that you truly care about and you feel it both, in your mind and in your body, that's when you know it's going to be a great match. You can't fake the chemical reaction part of it. So even if this looks good on paper or if it's an arranged sort of thing, if you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it. If you're single and happy and just wondering what to focus on, I think, as I said earlier, the biggest thing is to just change your perspective and change your outlook. You're going to find hidden support, new partnerships, new friendships, possibly new love coming in, even if you're not looking for it. I think it's a great month for business. Even though this is a page and not the queen, it's still the same energy of development and growth. Your message is going to be pretty well received. We have 2 princesses here. Let's see here. We have Princess of Swords, Princess of Wands. So I might have actually misidentified that as a knight earlier, but it's princess. So basically, I like that we have 2 pages here. It's easier to show than it is to tell. So showing what you have going on in your life, like I said, the communication or the inquisition or the sort of like questions will come later. So by the way, this was a princess, it's a page, not a knight. Sometimes I just wish, by the way, caveat for those of you that are developing decks out there, let's not change the titles for these all the time. I don't read gender anyway, but there are certain decks that I want to buy, but when they change every single title, it drives me nuts. Or if they don't put the numbers or the suits, it makes us work too much as readers. So just call a page, call a knight, call a queen. So there's somewhere they'll do it like elder and ancient and younger, and then like what's what? So anyway, show it first, and then things will come through, and you'll be able to clarify things, and that's what I'm picking up on that. But I definitely see a lot of mingling going on this month. There's a great chance for you to connect with other people, and a great chance for you to open some new doors. So still a very social month. The most important thing, though, is healing the body, healing the heart, and changing your perspective. Okay? That, my friends, is everything with love. Your destiny card is beautiful here. It says, within nothing, there is everything. I would reword this in a different way. I would say everything has to start somewhere, and the absence of something doesn't mean that there won't be something there one day. Holding space gives you a place for something to exist. So that's what they're really saying here, is where there is an open space, anything can come in. When it's already been identified or occupied, typically that means that it's all set up. So a clean start's a clean start. If you're afraid of starting something new because it's going to take, energy and time to adjust, but it's also this sort of like beautiful creative opportunity for you. So let's recap. If you don't see it, it's still possible, but you need to believe it. So let's talk about that. Seeing something in the periphery is different than seeing something here and here. So I want you to conjure the image of what it is that you're trying to manifest. Then it comes into the physical realm. And that's the core of this card. And when there is nothing, there is the whole opportunity for you to do whatever you want. So if someone says, I don't care, or I don't know, whatever you want, you've just been given so much freedom. Say, well, thanks, I'll do whatever I want then. I just wanted to check with you. And later when they say they don't like it, say, well, you had no opinion and you said I could do what I want. They won't make that mistake again. So it's a good chance for you to exercise your freedom and really explore. And maybe they're testing you too. If this is a boss, they'll say, I don't know, just show me some stuff. So have fun with it. Don't feel overwhelmed. Get inspired is what I would say. This is your month to find your mojo, to get inspired. All right, so the next card that we're going to pull is the big idea. The big idea is a simple way for us to focus on one thing this month to help make a splash. Make this count. Well, we got the Lovers, and I'm super happy that this came through for you. As I've said many times, this constitutes one of the biggest magnetic cards that you could pull in tarot, because it's basically all about you loving and appreciating and sort of embracing yourself enough that other people are curious. They're like, what is that person? What's going on with them? How can I get some of that? And so in this moment in time, you absolutely have the potential to pull in love, to pull in a new opportunity. And it all begins with the understanding that you are worthy, that you deserve this. And maybe that's the one thing that many of you just need to hear from me, is that you're worth it. You can do this, and whatever you got, you earned it. And whoever in your life says you didn't or you're not, that's their head and that's their projection. But love and relationships and partnerships, they are taking a focal point. It's good that we just talked about them here a moment ago. And I would say, if you can just open up to what those want to teach you and show you this month, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised. Okay? We're going to go on now to the blessings and the blocks. 2 cards here, 1 blessing, 1 for block, and this will help us focus on what we need to pay attention to and what we need to release. The blessing is the Empress. The block is the 7 of Swords, and that is a very good block. And we've all experienced that one before. So for the blessing, power, autonomy, confidence, the ability to nurture, create things and see them grow. We couldn't have more flowers on this card if the artist wanted to put them on here. So this is definitely showing growth and you being in that position of shining more than ever. And that comes through the ability to just say, okay, I'll do this or I'll try this. So be willing, ready, and able to kind of put yourself out there and see what comes of that. One last thing here is, if there are any sort of power struggles, you may be better off doing something on your own. And that's hard to kind of do from time to time, but it's super important. The block, and this is a really good block, and again, I feel like a lot of us have experienced this. So 7 of Swords. There could be someone in your life, and you just pick up on it. You're highly sensitive. You got the Canary Spirit card here. So someone can be singing the most beautiful song, but it doesn't sit with you. The melody's sour. Something's off. I want you to trust your ability to hear beyond the words being presented to you. It's accurate. It's going to help you. It's going to be important. If someone says they're going to do something consistently and consistently fails to do exactly what they said they were going to do, it's time to hold them accountable and say, this doesn't work. And last but most important, and often most difficult, be honest with yourself until you're truly, capable and ready to say what it is that's on your, to make the change. So basically, let's look at it from something like this, like, okay, I didn't succeed at this, but I realized that I could have worked harder here. Or this didn't work out, but I failed on this, this, and this. So if you can be accountable on where your shortcomings were and then committed to remedying and fixing those, that's how you can get rid of this. But you have to, it's basically accountability. I'm responsible for this percentage of the fault here, and I'm going to work on it by doing this and this. That's what this block can be, this is how the block can be fixed. So it's accountability and ownership, basically. Okay? And as Apollo shows us, sometimes you just have to dig in, yes, you buddy, and do the hard work with his bedhead. He's kind of cute in the background. All right, so let's move on now to the viewers and the reader's choice. I'm not going to pull the camera down for this just because I need to see what I'm doing on this one. So again, I appreciate your cooperation today because technology has a mind of its own, but I'm here for you, and I'm actually having a great time. I'm a recovering perfectionist, so in the past there would have been a part of me that would have just been bothered the whole time, but I'm like, we're still here and a camera and the mic is working and I'm able to talk to you. That's all we need. Okay, let's see what's going on in front of us. So as I'm scanning the cards, I really want to look at self-care for you. So let's put that as the first option. So self-care, and I'm also going to call it like establishing, I won't have enough words for this. I'm just going to say finding a new balance in your life, okay? And then I think the next thing is, trusting your gut, because we saw the Canary Spirit coming through, and it's basically saying, I feel it, I see it. I'm going to put like here, intuition, canary. So you remember, well, you know what I'm talking about. Because sometimes we see something, but we disbelieve it. And we definitely want to help with that. And then for some of you, there's this, this question, like where I had this card, where there is nothing, there is everything. It can be a little challenging to figure out like what to do with that. How to get started is what we're going to put here. How to get started. I could also put how and where. Okay, so those are your choices. You can vote on those now. While you're voting on those, let me see. I want to look at shifting the perspective that's on this one. Let me go grab some tea. I forgot to grab that this morning. So let me grab my tea, and then I'm going to look at changing perspectives, okay? I'll be right back. You guys keep an eye on Apollo for me. Okay, thank you. So we were looking at the Five of Cups, seeing a way to basically see the sunny side of any equation, how to focus on possibilities. Ooh, we've got a Queen of Pentacles here, showing a little bit of a connection here also with the King here. So let's talk about this. So my question was how to see the possibilities, how to see things from a different perspective. The Queen of Pentacles is capable of taking care of herself. She takes care of everyone else. She's like the best mother, the best project manager, the best boss, nurse, etc. Like as a leader, if you have this person in your life, or as a caretaker, or someone that you look up to, you're pretty lucky because they give all of that and then some. The challenge with the Queen of Pentacles sometimes is that she just doesn't do that for herself. And you see the little white rabbit in the corner. So in this moment in time, if you can give what you give to others to yourself, oh my goodness, I want you to try that for a week. Really prioritizing your energy for you. So if you were like me in school, a perfectionist, and you would work really, really hard and try to get that, A+ or whatever to impress a teacher, or you would maybe also be trying to impress your parents and your relatives or whatever, and then get into this college you wanted. Like it was a whole sort of domino effect of approvals that were sitting on performance. Now, what if you were just trying to impress yourself and support yourself? At the end of the day, at the end of this life, when we're sitting up in soul review, it's us plus our spirit guides and us and the divine. But we are the judge. It's not God judging us. It's our soul judging our actions in our lifetime. God doesn't judge us. We're an extension of God, so we judge ourselves. And it's judging us through our eyes, but we are the judge. So all that matters is you taking care of yourself, you loving yourself, you valuing yourself, you lifting yourself up. And you at the end of the journey of however many years, decades, etc. that you have on this planet thinking, I don't have regrets. I did everything that I could. I give myself an A+. I don't care what other people thought. I did more than the best, So think of yourself more kindly through kinder eyes and do things that support your growth, your happiness, and who you are. When you do that, that's when the two cups in the background raise up and people are like, look at that person. They know themselves, they value themselves, they respect themselves, they hold themselves in a certain way. I want to be like that. And then you're going to just naturally attract people. When you stop trying to make other people happy, you make yourself happy and you bring people into your life that make you happy. That's the valuable lesson there. It's a really powerful one actually too for partnerships. Okay? Okay, so let's see what you chose for me. Trusting your intuition by a resounding 43%, so that's a really good choice. Let's give the cards a shuffle and see what's coming through for trusting your intuition. And so basically we're connecting with the Magician, which is highly tuned in, I should say, and the Canary Spirit also, and seeing how we can make sure that nothing is missed here. I love this deck, by the way. You guys made a great choice. This is done by Rachel True. She was on The Craft. And so happy that, I don't know if she did the illustrations or she worked with someone, but I love the energy in this deck. It's a lot of fun to work with, and I love some of the mythology that's pulled into it too. So, cool deck. All right, so focusing on trusting your intuition. What's coming through here? The Hierophant. Oh, I love the Hierophant. You know, everyone that watches my channel enough knows that I have like a modern take on the Hierophant. We're seeing the more traditional one, and I think it's good to see it. We see the papal figure in the background, the golden gates behind him, the two keys to the kingdom or to the knowledge, and the disciples in front of him listening to each and every word. You may be hearing, feeling, or receiving something that is counter to the establishment. So people want you to just do the status quo, but something in here, something in here, something in your crown chakra is saying, I got to do that. Or that doesn't ring true, or that's not what I thought it was. Good, because that's how change happens on this planet. You're basically embodying the key within. You don't have the gatekeeper. You don't have someone there that's having to tell you that it's wrong or whatever. This gatekeeper could be mom, dad, teacher, whomever in your life, and you share an intuitive download. They're like, that's crazy, or that's not valid, or that's not right. And that's just not them. That would be a more accurate way for them to state what's on their mind. They would just say, I don't know how to process this. One thing that was really cool with my mom, we had difficult conversations a couple times in our lifetime where I was coming out to her and trying to get acceptance. And the first time she rejected me, later in my life, she came back and she apologized. She said, I remember what you were trying to say and how you said it. She said, I didn't have the capacity to deal with the truth that you told me. And she said, I'm sorry. I'm not the person that I was. And I was like, how could I not accept that? That was full ownership of not being capable of processing something and but having changed. So you've changed faster, or you have more of a view on the world than the old guard. And the old guard can change, but it takes time. For my mom, it took about 20 years or something, 15 to 20 years. But when she left the planet, we were best friends. And I have only positive vibes and energy with her. She was an amazing mom and teacher and spirit. And she went through her own stuff too, just like I've went through my own stuff. So you've learned something sooner than someone in your life. Even a mentor, a parent, or a teacher, or someone in power. You're smarter, or you're more evolved, or you've got it. It's clicking with you and it's not clicking with them. Take your key, open the door, leave the door cracked. They'll eventually come through and they'll see you for who you are. So your intuition's valid, but it's ahead of the curve, is what I'm saying here. And you may have to walk away from something in order to get what you want. For me to get that conversation with my mom, I told her, she said she forgot the conversation. I said, no, you didn't. I said, you need to think a little bit harder. You'll remember. And she came back the next day and she remembered. She's like, you're right, I remember. She said, I pushed it into the back of my head. So hold firm to what you believe. And I was never bossy or angry with that. I was just like, no, I want you to remember. It's important to me. When you say you don't remember, there's no way you couldn't remember. So if someone's saying that you're wrong, or they can't see it, or that there's no validity in this, or that you had a conversation and it didn't happen, you can say, no, there's something to this. I really want you to think about it before you just say no. Let's talk again after you've had a chance to consider it, and then let's talk again. Sleep on it. Here's a way that you can put this into everyday practice. Say, why don't we sleep on it? I feel like we're tired. We're maybe we've said everything we can say, but let's have a rest. Let's come back. I think we can work this out. Put a little projection of positivity, because it is in your headspace. I think we can work this out. We need to take a break, and we need to figure out what our common goals are, and we'll come back with that. Okay, that's my answer for that. But you need to go counter to what's expected. It's either because you already know something someone else forgot something, because you're supposed to change things, or because you're supposed to do this on your own and you don't need the gatekeeper at all. So that's why we got the Hierophant. It's just not going to be popular, but it's going to be accurate for you. All right, let's go into the next portion of this. So the next piece that we're going to be looking at is the sun, rising, and moon. And basically, I probably didn't say this earlier, but you can always watch all of my readings for all the different parts of your chart. I like to give a special focus at the end, specifically for sun, rising, and moon, so that you can just get a little bit more clarity. So let's do that right now. Sun, rising, and moon. Don't worry, I'm going to pull each of these up. Normally I would have a graphic sitting here, but today is special. Sun sign, change. So Pisces, sun, you're going through a change, and the change is happening whether you like it or not, basically. It could be a change within. We see this person kind of literally opening up. It could also be a significant shift externally around you. So a job could be coming to a close, a relationship could be coming to a close. There's something around you or within that has no choice but to transition from one state to another. So we have the angel of death coming through saying this is also growth. One thing that I love about the Day of the Dead is all the marigolds. I think this isn't a marigold, but it reminds me of that. Kind of, maybe it is, maybe symbolically it is. So it's basically showing that there's life and growth, and that death is a part of that cycle. So change, transformation, is a necessary component for us to be able to get to the next level. So when something falls out, through Tower, 10 of Swords, Death, 6 of Swords, any number of cards that could come through here, it's basically the universe leveling you up, +1. You just got an upgrade. You just got leveled up. And so getting used to that sort of new level, if you will, takes a little bit of time. But that's kind of what I'm getting when I see this, is +1. There could be a new person, there could be a new opportunity, there could be something. I'm being shown +1. It could be for the gamers out there that only kind of understand this in leveling terms, but you just leveled up. And as we see here, I mean, it's a kind of graphic image here, but we see death opening up, then the person opening up, and then we see that they are the change. So basically the skeleton, or the angel of death, is also within. So be the change is what this is saying for my Pisces sun out there. Be the change that you need to see in your life. Embrace the change that's happening around you. Step through the portal and see what's on the other side. There's good stuff coming through, but change is imminent. This is an end to stagnation for you. Death reversed is stagnation, but as we're reading it for you, it's saying, I choose to move beyond stagnation. I choose to embrace transformation, and it's going to be okay. My experience with death angels is they are beautiful, by the way. I saw Azrael. I've also seen Zerachiel. There are different ones. And actually, technically, most of the archangels can be an angel of transformation. Like Gabriel could do it, or Michael could do it. But there are specific ones where that's their main focus. But when I've seen them, they are very high frequency. One of them actually carried with it a high-pitched sound. I've talked about this before, just in case anybody experiences it so you don't wonder what's going on. But a few years before my mom passed, the angels were preparing me that she was coming to the end of her journey. And I saw one behind her, and her apologizing for her needing to leave the planet. And I said, it's okay. But I heard this high-pitched sound, like a string section of violins. When I saw the angel, it was so high frequency. And there was no fear when I saw it. I just knew that it was there to help. And I think that this is one of the most beautiful, transformative energies that you can have on the planet, because they're there at the most important moment, which is to help you step into something new. So this is a beautiful moment, but it can be scary. So Azrael sometimes looks scary, but is not. If you ever have connected with the angel, it's this very peaceful, very kind, and not confrontational energy. It comes way in advance too, like it was warning me, saying, this is coming, I'm coming to but no words. Never with that angel is there communication. It's the Christmas Carol with George C. Scott, was that his name? Is so accurate. It doesn't speak, it just points, or it shows up, and for me it showed up archetypal, it was hooded, but it was a very kind angel. So it's basically, think of it as like curtains on a stage. So you're just kind of like pulling the curtains open and seeing what's on the other side. There's something good, or it's time to step onto stage and it's your show now, okay? So yes, it could apply to the crone energy for the person that's asking that. So for some of you, this is saying, I've outgrown this stage. I need to move through this now. And so we could take the crone and the death card together and say, it's time to reset the cycle. Because the three maidens, or the three women at the fates, basically, it's always, we can go between all of those different energies. You can be the crone, you can be the maiden, or you can be the mother. Any one of those three. So it's time to go back into the nurturing energy that we saw with like the Empress that we saw earlier here, or right here. We basically got them. We got the crone, we got the Empress, and we got a bunch of pages which would constitute the maiden. So you're getting a chance to reset and go and start a new cycle. Okay? So that lot to talk about, but when I get the death angels, there'll be a lot to talk about. You have to see and feel that change within first, though, okay? All right, moving on to my sun sign here. We have sun rising. We're looking at rising and ascendant. We have the King of Cups. It's you. This is exactly what I would want to see showing up for you. So this is a wonderful energy here. So it's a great time for love, great time for relationships, great time to step into your power. The interesting thing is we see a little octopus at the bottom of this, kind of tugging at that person's energy. So having appropriate limits as you step into this position of visibility, of power, of autonomy is going to be important, because there could be people that are trying to pull you in the direction that's not best for you. They might be trying to get more of your time. The main thing for you, I kind of get a nice unbothered thing. He's like, I could do with this or not. I'm going to like toss that to the side. I've got other things to focus on. So as a strong Piscean leader, where you know what you want, you know what you don't want, don't let people pull you in a direction that doesn't feel authentic to yourself. I definitely think this is a great time for love if it's in rising or ascendant for you. And it's a great time. Normally this, by the way, rising would be how you're showing up to others. It could be work. It could also just be external. So people see you as attractive. And that's a great combination of these two. Okay? So you can do a lot with this. You're showing up really strong this month in rising and ascendant. So good month to network, interview, present, ask for more if you're looking for a raise or something of that nature. I think it's going to be a good period for you. Okay? All right. Now focusing on moon. Moon is pretty amazing, actually. We have the Two of Wands. It may not be a major arcana. It may not be a court card. Wait for 1 second for that siren. But it's a compliment to both the Magician and the High Priestess, especially the High Priestess. The Two of Wands says, because I see and believe this, it will come into existence. It's the answer to this. Nothing's here yet, but soon. And so what you're being asked to do if you're Pisces moon is to set an intention and set a direction. Your emotions could be getting the better of you here, but you're going to turn this upright and think, not can I do this, but I can do this. Not will this happen, but this will happen. Not even when will this happen, but how quickly can I manifest this? Focusing on affirmative, positive, and also declarative statements. I am doing this, I am creating this, this is what I'm going to do, this is where I'm looking, this is who I'm going to talk to today. Very proactive. Vision and action combining together with this Two of Wands, making it a really productive month for Pisces moon. You're also seeing yourself in the world in a larger context in a different way that you haven't before. There's an awakening happening for all of these, actually. So, for sun, it's realizing that change is happening and there's nowhere to go but through that portal. For rising, it's the heart, a change of heart for some of you, and this ability to kind of just be more out there. And then for some of you, there's this desire to get out and be a part of the world. I don't always talk about that with the Two of Wands, but that's definitely a component. Seeing yourself, how am I connecting to the world? How am I making an impact? What can I do to put my thumbprint on this world? So some beautiful messages as we look at sun, rising, and moon. All right, I don't have the capacity to put up my super graphics right now, but what I'm going to say is click on the pinned comment in the live feed, and later I'll have one below where you can check out all the different ways to connect with me. You can also go to just the About page here on my main channel, and you'll see all my social media links here on YouTube. They're also on YouTube. Quick note, it's always my first and last name, no special characters, no misspellings. So look at how it's spelled here, and that's how it's going to be spelled on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And if anyone ever reaches out to you and says, hey, I've been thinking of talking to you for something, no, that's not me. I don't use direct messages. I don't offer products and services through direct messages, and I don't offer private readings. So I try to say this as often as possible so that all of these people that keep making fake accounts will not fool you, because you guys are smart. If you'd like to show some love and support, I see a bunch of people already doing that, so thank you. At the end of this reading, I will extend some gratitude and say your name. So just give me a chance to get through the meditation and the final card, and we'll do that. And that's what we're going to focus on now. We're going to take a look at one last card at the end. So before we do that, take a moment, scribble it down, tap it into your phone, or just lock it into your head, and we're going to meditate together. Meditation, 2 parts, and it takes about 3 minutes, 3 to 4 minutes. We're going to focus on conjuring up an image and a meditation and healing something, releasing something. And then I will play a singing bowl, and then I'll look at your final card, okay? Please like and subscribe. Please leave me a comment below when this is on replay. I'm really trying to kind of amp up engagement a little bit so we can let these videos get discovered more so I can help more people. That's the main goal here. All right, so looking at the cards in front of me, there are 2 that pop up. We talked a lot about the energy of transformation. I think that the sort of space that happens after that transformation happens is what's important. So for any of you that have left a job, broken up in a relationship, or been the person that breaks up or been broken up with, or if you've lost someone, there is space that occupies your life in the absence of someone. So whether it's death, graduation, or some sort of a shift, there's always that moment where it's empty at the beginning, and that's the creative space. So let's imagine that this is a new universe that's forming for you, and we're going to kind of walk through the creation of your universe and what you're calling into it. So close your eyes, take a deep breath, exhale. I want you to see yourself at the dawn of creation, the creation of this next leg in the journey for you. And you are holding in your hands all of the energy that's going to create a new path for you. But let's imagine this is sort of like our particular solar system. And all you need to do is to almost like you're throwing something in baseball, the way my guides are showing me this, is take the energy that you have and let it go. Send it out into the universe. Say what it is, set the intention. I'm ready to create this in my life. I'm ready to receive this, etc., and then go ahead and throw it out there. And now I want you to start to move your hands above this and below this, almost like you're swirling the energy, like you're mixing something, and start to mix it up, and then just step back, and what you're actually creating is a galaxy here. And watch now as stars start to form, and around those stars you start to see worlds and moons and all these beautiful things, comets and whatnot. Find a place within this new creation for your energy to be, and I want you to see something cool. You can come down to this planet and see what you've created for yourself. Is it new love? Is it a new place to live? Is it a new job? Is it a new attitude to look at things from a different perspective and just not be bothered, or to be very inspired, or just be very much yourself? Whatever it is that you're trying to create, know that it exists. Now it's just about catching up to it. So what we're going to do as I play the singing bowl is to basically increase the velocity with which you're moving, or the speed with which you're moving, to get you to your destination just a little faster. And what we're going to do as I play the bowl, you can repeat a mantra. I can, I will, I am, or I am in, I'm open to love and abundance in the highest forms, whichever ones you want to kind of say, or a combination of the two. But the 3 sort of mini statements, I can, I will, I am, basically is really putting this into motion and sitting with the I am doing this, I am ready, it is coming, I am watching. Whatever you want to put with I am do that as I play the singing bowl, and then we'll look at your final card. All right, take another deep breath. I want you to imagine that you could stand outside of all of this and bring this universe of possibilities into your heart, into your soul, all of the possibilities that you've seen, that you've created, that you've breathed life into. They're just waiting for you to be ready to step into their fruition, into this new future. On your next exhale, open your eyes and start to think about your final question for me. And let's shuffle the cards and see what the message is. All right. Patience is being tried a wee bit here. We have the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man is in reverse. So for those of you that are familiar with the mythology of the Hanged Man, there is a blessing that happens with this sort of waiting. In mythology, Odin gets the secret of the runes by sitting there and waiting. It takes time, longer than a week, I believe, and then eventually it comes through to him. So this is saying, before you rush into the next thing, before you take that next step, pause for this one moment in time. Look over your shoulder and think, what have I learned through this experience? What do I hope to gain with this? How do I feel right now? And why do I want to get to that next step so quickly? And is there anything that I need to learn before I do that? The door's open. So if it's a yes, no, it's soon. We'll put it in the positive and affirmative. Soon, but you should take a moment and be very mindful and very deliberate about what it is that you want to do next. Because sometimes we simply go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing without truly sort of slowing down long enough to drink it in, to understand it, to celebrate it, to figure out why we're doing what we're doing. And that's all that we're being asked in this moment. So I think a necessary pause is at hand. Don't rush through it. Yes, you can do something you want to do, but still be mindful, still be deliberate, still take the time to make sure that everything has come into focus the way that it needs to. Okay? So, yes, it's a soon. Yes, soon, don't rush it. And be patient with yourself. And remember that there's always a halo and all that beautiful energy around the seventh chakra when we look at that card. So integrate the lesson before moving on to the next thing. That will help you from repeating history. And that, my friends, is the reading. So I'd like to say thank you for being patient today. Like I said, I just finally thought we're just going to have a good time together. And it actually became very fun. Sometimes, this is what I've learned, if you just make the most of something, I'm feeling good, and I feel like it was a great reading. So sorry I couldn't put the graphics up and we couldn't go between all the cameras, but it's still the same communication. So thanks for we kept it more casual and conversational today, and you can see how I manage stress, which is just to move with it. That's one thing that after being live for like 2.5 years or 3 years now, just don't worry about it so much anymore. I want to say thank you to everybody that's been with me for a long time. Like I said, I've been doing this since 2015, but I actually peppered in a few in 2013, 2014. But yeah, definitely for the past 8 years or so, this has been my main focus, and lots of growth, lots of changes. But the people make it fun to come back every month. So whether it's your first time here or you've watched a long time, I'm happy to have you. Give me a moment here, and I want to welcome the newest members first, and then I'll say thanks to anybody that gave a super sticker or super chat. Again, for the newest members, you have a chance to submit a question for consideration. If you go to my main channel page and click on Member tab, you'll see a special post just for members, and you'll have a chance to ask some questions there. All right, KB, thank you for joining. You're a brand new member, and it's good to have you here. Jess, same thing, brand new, welcome. Martha Lee, brand new, good to have you. Laverne, Paris, JD, and there's more after your name, so I'm just going to say Laverne. Thank you so much. Also brand new. Roberta Wiley, also brand new. Good to have you here. Lots of first-time members, so thank you so much. And again, you joined at a perfect time because you have a perk right there on the member tab to connect to. Let's see, I don't know if I said it, Roberta, and then Artemis joined it, also rejoining after a month. Good to have you back. Kendra Williams, Yvonne M., Rachel Hatch, and I think that's everything because I remember saying Rachel's name yesterday. So welcome to all of my new and returning members. It's good to have you here. And now for anybody that gave a super sticker or super chat, I'm going to give you a shout out as well. All right, Pisces. Kicking it off today was 20 Dragonfly 201. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Actually, I'm sorry. The first one was Didem. So thank you very much for the $50. That was really great of you as well. So thank you for kicking it off. And then 20 Dragonfly 201. Yvette Sanchez, good to see you again. You consistently show up, and I appreciate that. Meek Brown, Nancy Tyrone, Love, Pip Moon, Benita Clark, Dark Star Alchemy, Donna Green, CC Panda Bear, Marie Tisvinas, I hope. Lovey Wyman and Nade, I hope I said that correctly as well. Thank you so much for being a part of today's presentation, and really powerful reading. I didn't let the gremlins of technology get in the way of us having a really great reading together. So lots of love and light to all of you. I'm going to have a Q&A on Thursday, so I hope you can join that. And what I'm going to do is take a look at members' questions and Patreons' questions that have been submitted in advance. Try and get them in if you can by Wednesday. So just because I need a chance to, I'm going to look at them on Wednesday and kind of get prepared. So Tuesday, Wednesday, try to get them in. And then Thursday we'll have a Q&A, and then I'll kick off the next month on Thursday, and then back to our normal schedule. So again, thanks everybody. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed today's reading. Lots of love from Apollo and I. Now he's in slumberland after he threw all of his toys on the floor. Gotta love pets, right? They're eternal children. They definitely bring joy into all of our lives. Thank you so much, Pisces. Have a great day. Lots of love and light to you. Again, thanks for your patience and for being so understanding. I do appreciate it. All right, take care. Bye-bye.